guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm, and today we carry on with our series about our modular car building system. And in the previous episode, what we did here is that we have started to send some events from the controller. So today we're gonna just render that data table that we have it created in here. So we're gonna send that data, we're gonna render this information to the player. So let's get started here. So first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna open up here our BPC modular car. And in here, we're gonna have a variable called toggle blueprint widget. And this time, just for organization stuff, we're gonna create a new graph. I'm gonna call this graph widget. And I am gonna copy this stuff here, right? So I'm gonna copy and paste. Actually, I'm gonna just cut. I'm gonna cut and then paste in here, just so we can have a special folder for this widget. Let me just double check this thing is working properly. So we press V, that's working, nice. So now let's create the logic here to add the widgets. So let's create a new variable called building parts, building part widget open or something like that. And then what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna create a branch, and we are gonna use that here. There is one thing here as well that I just want to make sure that we have, but we do this after, that's fine. So now we need to create two methods. So the first one is custom event. We're gonna create, actually let's start to call this by API dash, so just we keep everything organized. So we're gonna call API open build parts, and we're gonna copy and paste. So rename that, and we're gonna call this API close build parts. Nice, cool. Now what we're gonna do here is that if we are opening, we're gonna do this. We're gonna set this variable to true. We're gonna create a widget, and the widget that we're gonna create here is this modular build selection. So we're gonna put in that, and we're gonna add to view port, and that's it. And if you are, oh yeah, and now what we have to do is just gonna save that to building widget. And to keep everything organized, let's make sure that we put the category to, let's say, building widget, and we're gonna put everything there. Nice. So we just gonna, let me just unconnect this. If you want to disconnect a node, all you gotta do here, you just need to hold Alt, and that's it. So I'm gonna connect this here, and then I'm gonna connect this one there, just so it keeps the flow organized. And if you want to close that, really simple, just make sure it's closed here, and let's make sure that the widget is valid. If the widget is valid, if it's valid here, we gonna get a widget reference again, and we're gonna do remove from parent. It's pretty cool. Nice. So we got closing and opening. Right. So what we're gonna do here is that if it's open, we wanna close, and if it's closed, we want to open. It's the other way around. Nice. So this toggle main widget. Right, and then we have the open and close. Now we're gonna have a little problem here, but I'm gonna explain how we can fix that in a sec. Right now, if I press play, let me expand my window here a little bit. So if I press V, everything open, but I can't see my mouse. And if I press V again, it will close, which is great, but I can't see my mouse. So let's fix this. In order to fix that, we need to add a quick thing here. We need to make sure that we are passing the player controller. So what we need to do here is that our modular component here, oh, that's the wrong thing, needs to have access to my modular controller. So somehow this needs to have the reference. So to keep things very generic, we're going to create a new variable. We're going to call controller, actually player controller ref, and the type of this is going to be player controller, and we're going to be an object reference. Make sure it's public so you can access that. And now we're going to open up the player controller here. Let's find the event graph. So we have the begin play where we passing a couple of informations in here, things like that. So what we can do here is that we can get the BPC modular here, and we can set controller, set player controller, and the controller that we are passing as a reference here is gonna be self. So we're sending the player controller here. And by the way, I select here player controller because in the future, if you wanna integrate this with your own games or something, you don't need to worry about casting this. So this is the generic, this is the parent class, right? Okay, now we need to show the mouse and things like this. So let's create here a custom event, and we're gonna call API set widget mode, and we're gonna copy and paste this, duplicate that, and I'm gonna call another one here called set game mode, right? And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna get a controller, and for the first one we first gonna show cursor. So we're gonna set, actually we need to set show cursor, so we're gonna make sure that we can see cursor. And here we're gonna set game mode and UI, and we're gonna plug this here. Pretty cool. Now in here is gonna ask which widget you want to focus, so we're just gonna pass the widget as a reference here, and that's everything. And now for the set game mode, what you gotta do here, we're gonna select this, we're gonna copy and paste, plug it in that, untick this, and we are gonna set the player controller now to so set to game mode. Actually, set input to game mode only, so it goes back to whatever it was before. So this we're gonna call handle the game mode. Just to give you context, if you're not aware of this concept, basically we need to show the mouse, and we need to say, hey Unreal Engine, we're gonna be handling this stuff now in the widgets. So just we can get those events. Right. So now what we do here is we gonna call the API set game widget mode, and here it's gonna ask which widget you wish to have in the selection, and we have the reference right here. And then the other one here is that we're gonna call API set to game mode, and there we go. So we're just gonna align this here, and let's check if this works. And there we go. I can still control my character, I can control my mouse, and if I press V again, the thing hides, which is really good, really great. Now let's make sure that we can do the widget fully working properly. Right, so we need to pass now which part the player can actually select. If you remember, those parts we have set up in here, so the building parts in that. So to do that, what we're gonna do here is really simple. We're gonna go back to the event graph on the BPC modular car, and we're gonna play with the event begin play. So basically what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna get all the data of those data tables, so we can use that after to be able to display the items in the game. So to do this, we're gonna right click here, we're gonna search for a function called get data table, and we're gonna have role names, and then we're gonna right click here, get data table role. Okay, so basically what it does is that this get all the rows, and this get the specific role data, right? And here it's gonna ask for us to select the table. We only have one, it's really good. So we're just gonna plug this here, plug the begin play here, and nice. So right now what we gotta do here is that we need to do a for each loop on the out rows, and I'm gonna plug this on the loop body here. We're gonna plug that here. It's pretty good. And right now what we can do is that we can print, and we can see if we are at least get the name to display. There you go, front wheel, back wheel, body. Nice, so that's working. So what we gotta do now is somehow get all those variables, pass to our widget in here, and then when you open up the widget, we display that data. So to do that, we need to create an array. We need to store this inside our array. So let's promote this to a variable, and let's call this parts widget or something like this. We're gonna make sure that we put as a in that, just to keep the project organized. There's one really important thing that you gotta do here. Make sure you unmark that. We're gonna change this to an array, okay? And the reason why we're doing this is because we need to store multiple data in that. And nice. Now what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna get this part here. We're gonna call a method called add, and we're gonna plug in here, and we're just gonna do this, and there we go. So now we have our array is adding data, which is really good. So let's comment this, and let's say here get all parts for the widget. All right. In the future as well, you could do something where, I don't know, maybe you're creating an RPG game, the player finds stuff, so you could have some kind of a logic in here where you could do something like this. Is this equals something that player have, and then if it is, you add it. But this is another thing, right? So let's now add that data to the widget. So let's get this data here, and now I have to pass this as a parameter in there somehow. So let's open up that widget in here. So to open up that, let's just find the widget here. Let's click here, and here we go. The basic widget border here. So I'm just gonna align here. Just gonna change a little bit of the structure. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go to the graph. I am gonna go under the variables banner. What is it here? And I am gonna call this parts or load. Let's check load parts, or actually building building parts. That's fine. And we need to select the type. This is gonna be remember that we have the type of this variable here, which is called st car parts. So let's do that here, st car parts, and make sure it's public. Make sure you tick expose on spawn, and make sure it also is an array, right? Compile and save. Let me just save everything here because there's a couple of things that I haven't saved. Nice. Now we need to somehow populate this widget, and I'm gonna be doing this in the next lesson. So thank you very much for watching, guys. This lesson was really good because now we have the basic to load the widget, and then in the next one we're gonna create a widget blueprint that is gonna be reusable, that we're gonna be using here to loop and fill up all this information dynamically. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and I see you in the next one.